It is always an absolute distinct pleasure to have one of the greatest individuals, in my humble opinion, on the planet, but also one of the greatest players to ever lace him up, the Hall of Famer, the NBA top 50 player, I say top 15 player, Rick Barry. He's joining me next. We're talking Warriors. They've lost 10 of 13. Times are not great for the Dubs. Let's get an analysis and thoughts from one of the greatest to ever do it, Rick Barry. This is the Golden Days.
They always find something to nitpick, and that's because there's expectations for us to win. It was a pretty crazy night.
Let's go!
In a minute, I'ma need a sentimental man or woman to pump me up. Come on and break me off. Cause I get what I want and I like what I see.
Oh, we got the audience showing up. Manny's in the house. I hate Ewoks. Merry Christmas right back to you, brother. Amazing. Merry Christmas Eve, everyone. Welcome to the Golden Days. I am one of the two individuals hosts of the program for the afternoon. My name is Cyrus Saatsaz. You can follow me on Threads and Instagram at DogWild. Over on Twitter, I'm at Surf Journalist. Hall of Famer Rick Barry isn't available on all social media platforms. It's a lot easier. You don't have to pick a different handle for each platform. It's the same across the board at Rick24Barry. Today's episode is brought to you by Vitamin Energy. Get the boost you need in life, except make it healthy. Rick, I'm going to send you a free package of that, by the way. I'd love to get your endorsement for that. And folks, use the promo code Golden Days, spelled dazed like Dazed and Confused the movie, for a 20% off discount. Go to vitaminenergy.com. And today's episode is also brought to you by BetOnline, who continues to be the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. From the earliest odds to in-game live betting, BetOnline provides you with all the action and the ability to watch the games as they happen. And Christmas is tomorrow, folks. There's going to be a whole docket of NBA games highlighted with the Warriors and the Lakers. Head to BetOnline today and don't forget to use the promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV. That's the name of the network we're on for your welcome bonus on your first deposit. BetOnline. The game starts here. And again, follow the Hall of Famer, a man who officially is an NBA top 50 player, 5-0. Unofficially, if you have half a brain watching basketball, you know it's more like top 20. I say top 15. Rick Barry, follow him on all social media platforms one more time at Rick24Barry. Rick, how are you doing, sir? Merry Christmas Eve to you and your family, your beautiful family, I might add. And we're going to promote Canyon Barry, who's nominated for an award. We'll talk about that in just a moment. We need your help, Dub Nation, to get votes for him. But Rick, how are you? Merry Christmas Eve. And what are your thoughts on the Warriors at this point in the season?
Well, thanks for the good wishes, and the same to everybody who's listening in. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever it is you're celebrating.
All that good
This
stuff.
is a very special time of the year for most everybody. And I'm just happy that the freaking Warriors won their last game because, I mean, what was going on was just crazy. So, but here's the thing. It's rare that a team goes through an entire season without having a down period. Very, very rare. I think one of the Chicago Bulls teams did it. They really didn't have a bad 2-week period or whatever it may have been.
And the Warriors, right? The 73-win Warriors.
Well, yeah. I mean, say it doesn't happen very often.
Exceptions, yes.
And so here's the thing. If you're going to have one, which generally you do, better to have it at this time of the year than in April, okay? So you always have to look at the bright side of things when something negative happens. Have it early. I mean, you still got time to do things. You still got trades to be able to make. The trade deadline's not going to be there for a while. You can make some changes and hopefully right the ship, to use the old cliche. The ship is certainly difficult. I remember one time going across the Atlantic on the QE2, and the wind was blowing so hard that the ship was like this. It's like you ever been in a fun house where they don't have those nowadays, where you would walk and you're kind of like sideways and you're walking along and the ship's going like this. Well, that's what's happened with the Warriors. The ship's kind of sideways right now. They got to try to right that ship. Nowadays, with the technology that they have all kinds of technological advancements where they can take that ship and right it, even if the wind's blowing that hard. So the Warriors got to find out and get some technology to be able to do it. Meanwhile, it means more and less. It's not the technology. It's get some players who are going to play at the level they need to have them play. in order to be able to right the ship. So I'm not overly concerned at it right now. They're still in the thick of things. It's not like they're at the bottom of the pack. Nice to see, again, nice to see that win. Here, one of the surprising things about this season so far has been, do you know Steph Curry's highest game this year, scoring?
I'm going to
Not
guess 31.
Not very high.
Well,
Right?
you're right. Let's start with that, Rick. Why do you think because he struggled last night? He only had 10 points, and this follows just 2 games prior to that. It was his first game in his career where he had 0 field goals in a game, playing 10-plus minutes. He's struggling. But again, a lot of people think maybe age has something to do with it, and maybe they're right. I don't know. But I also see him getting doubled almost every possession. I see defenses squarely focusing on him. In your opinion, sir, what's going on with Steph?
Well, he's going through a tough time, obviously. I mean, this is so non-Steph Curry. It's kind of crazy. But, I mean, again, for the Warriors to win with him not having a big game, it just shows you that the team has some talent. I mean, they won a game without their best player, having a super productive offensive game. So, I'm always the eternal optimist. I always look to try to find something positive. Don't focus on the freaking negative. Focus on the positive things. He's having a tough time, but I'm not worried about it. I mean, he doesn't have any serious injuries. He's struggling right now. The team is struggling right now. I think they'll find a way to get themselves back to certainly be a playoff team, depending upon if they get any additions. We talked about this before. They still need it. I talked with Clifford Ray yesterday, my dear friend, my teammate.
Yes.
And they need a big so bad. They really do need a presence and somebody with some size. The small ball thing just goes so far, but you got to score some easy points. You got to be able to get inside. It's always easier to go inside out instead of outside and maybe sometimes occasionally in. I mean, other than a drive or a fast break opportunity, it just makes life a lot simpler. I mean, there are a lot of aspects to the game of basketball, and it's nice that if you have an offense that can take advantage of everything that's available to you. The Warriors don't have a well-rounded offense right now. They really don't. They're very almost one-dimensional. And that's not a good thing. So it's a good thing if you're shooting the hell out of the ball. Mm-hmm. But if you're not shooting the hell out of the ball from three-point range, which is a critical element of the game today, the way the game has evolved, very rarely are teams winning a basketball game today without shooting well from three-point range. I mean, I don't run through it, but I'm sure there's somebody out there who's done the analytics on it. But I would say the percentage of teams that win games when they're outshot from three-point range is very, very low. Very low.
Absolutely.
And so it's a different game that we have to watch. And I'm not overly concerned at this stage. I mean, we've got a long, long season. And the Warriors are still they get off to the great start, which you very intelligently said at the start of the season. They need to get up to a decent start because they don't have a very difficult schedule. And they did that. And then all of a sudden, they ran into a huge pothole. So now climb yourself out of the pothole, get yourself going again, and start playing a little bit more consistently. But there needs to be some additions and changes. The team that they have right now is never going to win a championship. I don't think.
Well, that's a strong statement, and I'm sure that's going to raise a lot of concern for Dub Nation hearing that. But my follow-up question to that is, are they a player away? Like if let's say they make a trade for an elite center like you've suggested that they need, wholeheartedly agree with you. Is it a relatively easy fix like that, or is this season a white flag like you're possibly suggesting here?
No, it's not a white flag, but the thing is, they don't necessarily have to have a big man that's going to be a 25-point-a-game scorer and all. They just need to have somebody that's going to be a consistent inside scorer and an inside threat for them.
Yes.
To make the other team have to play you honestly.
Agreed.
And and if they bring somebody else in that can relieve the responsibility off of Steph's shoulders to have to go out there and have huge games all the time, that's going to be a huge help. I mean, somebody that can come to get you 20 or 30 on any given night playing on a consistent basis would be a big help to the team because that would relieve Steph of that responsibility. I can see what Schroeder's going to do. I mean, it may be a situation. This could be helpful once he indoctrinates himself into the flow of the offense, is that Steph can then do what he does so well, which is move without the basketball and run his man off of his teammates, running them into the teammates, making them become screeners for him, getting himself open, catch and shooting, because he's so great at catch and shoot. I mean, he's maybe one of the fastest releases in the history of the game. And now he doesn't have to handle the ball, work so hard doing that, get himself having to be tired, coming up, getting double teamed all the time. Well, how do you get a double team if he doesn't have the ball?
Right.
right? You got to play him. You got to play individually, right? And then now when you start running him off of all of his teammates and stuff, now you're forcing what? Well, I talk about all the time. Like my dad told me, the more decisions you force the defense to make, the more the likelihood they'll make mistakes. If Steph is coming off of various and numerous screens, staggered stuff, and you have to try to guard them, and these guys don't communicate, two guys could jump out, you slip somebody in for a dunk. You have all kinds of opportunities, and the Warriors have intelligent players. They'll take advantage of that. That's one of their hallmarks over this stretch where they've played so exceptionally well. 4, 5, 6 passes, getting the easy basket, making the assists, high assists to baskets, made. I mean, great for the Warriors. So I think that could help the Warriors a great deal. If Schroeder can come in, handle the ball, let Steph do all of that, I would run him off of 2, 3, 4 screens all the time and just look to see what happens, see the decisions that the defense makes. And Steph is so good at that. That to me would be fun to watch, and I think it would make Steph more effective, and it would take away from him having to do so much that he has to do right now with the responsibility of bringing the ball up the court and running the offense and all. Let's make him a part of the offense by moving without the basketball, which he does exceptionally well as anybody in the game. And then, obviously, as I said, if they don't talk properly, he comes off and somebody doesn't step out and do it, he catches the ball, he's going to get all kinds of great looks.
Absolutely. And Manny in the chat, dropping $1.99. Thank you on this Merry Christmas Eve. Saying that Stephen Curry doesn't have consistent scoring around him, which kind of
You got to have ideally you want to have 3 guys that can get you 20 or more points on any given night. That's the ideal situation.
Ideally, yeah.
Right, and that's what the Warriors had. Back when they were doing when KD was here. Right, they had 3 guys. He and Clay and KD. I mean, shit. I mean, that's an impossibility. I mean, guys could all shoot it. They all had a mid-range game, and they're all great free throw shooters. I mean,
even in 2022, Rick, Jordan Poole was that guy for the Warriors that season. It's unfortunate what happened since then, but you're right. Steph has routinely, in all the years that they've succeeded with championships, Steph has had help, and we're not seeing that this year. And I think that's a huge reason why the discussion lately has been around Steve Kerr and Jonathan Kuminga.
Well, because that's the guy that everybody expected to be that 20-point or more guy. Okay,
right.
And so his consistency, as we talked about a couple, for the last few seasons stuff, he has to keep getting better. I haven't seen him taking big strides forward to get to be a more consistent player as far as what his shooting, his scoring, the other things. He's a talented guy, no question about it. But he has weaknesses. I mean, come on, he cost him a game. The guy wants $35 million a year to play, but he went 2 for 6 from the free throw line in a 1-point game. I mean,
is it fair to point at him for that game, Rick? I understand what you're saying.
I'm just throwing. That's just one element of that game.
Yeah.
But here's a guy. You don't go 2 for 6 from the free throw line. Come on.
You're right.
I mean, 4 for 6, which is not anything to write home about.
You're right. No,
right. That's not even anything to write home about. And they win the game. I mean, just that one element. You could pick out a whole bunch of stuff in that game as to how they screwed up. So yeah, I mean, he just got to get to that point. And now, obviously, he's having a difficult time with not starting. And then when he does start, his head is not where it needs to be. I don't think Steve really knows what to do with him right now. It's you have something that somebody was asking him questions.
Yeah, I mean, and it's going to be the theme of the show when we get into this is Steve Kerr, because following that Timberwolves game, he made these comments without specifying who he was referring to. It was very obvious he was talking about Kaminga, and he pretty much confirmed that in the pregame press conference of the Warriors Pacers. We're going to play some clips from that because Ryan Leong of NBC Sports Radio joined us from Chase Center after the game last night and revealed to us that there was some contention there, that Steve Kerr was frustrated. And I actually want to start with last night. After the game, not the pregame presser, the postgame presser. Real fast, by the way, I want to just highlight this because ZZZZBR dropping $2 in the chat saying, did you see the report by Shams today? No. So if you don't mind enlightening me, I don't see anything that he's tweeted or written unless you got duped by one of these fake accounts. Please follow up and explain what you mean by that. But moving over to Steve Kerr. And he is visibly frustrated, Steve. Rick, I'm sorry. Steve Kerr is visibly frustrated. And this is the post-game press conference last night where he was asked about Kaminga. And you could tell he's already tired of this, even though he might have made his own bet in the process. Here's Steve Kerr showing some frustration when asked about Kaminga after last night's frustrating loss. Sorry, my computer is having some issues here. Give me a second. There we go. Okay, here is well, let's try it this way.
It says we just couldn't put the ball in the basket, and sometimes that's what it comes down to.
With the way Kaminga played, do you feel like your message was received a little bit?
I don't like. What are we talking about? Like, if this is, there's 82 games. There's all kinds of stuff happens. I coach, and so I say stuff, and I say stuff to all the guys. And JK was great tonight. Played a fantastic game. So, not about a message or anything. It's all part of the season.
So you could tell, and there was a report. I think the report that the person was trying to was trying to point to with that chat was not Shams Charania. It was Alms with ESPN, who reported that Jonathan, there's a quote regarding Jonathan Kuminga, and here's the quote, and I'll share this on the screen as well so people can read it. And Rick. So you can see this as well, sir. And this is from a Twitter account that just paraphrased or summarized what the quote is from, which is that a lot of people that are playing, if they were in my shoes, they'll quit basketball. They'll need a therapist. They'll go through a lot of mental situations, but that thing don't affect me. As long as I go out here every day and just play, be with my teammates, they keep encouraging me to be who I am every day. Is there a lot to read from that, Rick? Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, that's an awesome statement on his part. I mean, obviously his head is on straight. I mean, more so than I had thought. I mean, I hadn't seen that before. Had I seen that, I wouldn't have made the comment I just made a little bit ago. That's a very mature, intelligent comment. I mean, he obviously is not allowing all of this craziness that's going on to impact him in a negative way, and you have to stay positive for sure. Yeah. Now, and it's not an easy thing. I mean, when you're being, off the bench, on the bench, I know, starting, not starting. I mean, it's difficult, but you have to always, as I said, I'm the eternal optimist. You always try to find something positive out of what you're doing. You always, for him, he should be reevaluating, look at film, watch what he's doing, try to see what he did wrong. The biggest thing for me, if I was watching him on a regular basis as his coach, I would watch him to see his reaction to when he does something that isn't the right thing to do, and see if he recognizes that he did it and that he's mad at himself. That's one of the things that I loved about watching my son Canyon play recently when he was involved with stuff, is I could tell that when he did something wrong, that he was so mad at himself, knew that he did it wrong, and understood that that wasn't the right thing to do. And that's what I would watch very carefully with Kaminga, to see if that's the case. It's hard to do when you're watching the game sometimes on TV because it's not focused on him, and so the camera's here, there, everywhere. But watch a guy real close. Just focus on him. See his reaction to what's transpiring during the course of the game as to what he does. And if he does something wrong, can you see that he knows that he did it wrong and he's upset with himself, but he still plays. He doesn't allow it to impact negatively, so he doesn't go down the other end of the court and play defense. And that's a great way to watch someone, to see how they're dealing with the situation. But that statement, that's a great statement on his part. I'm happy to hear, I'm happy to have read that, to know what's going on in his mind right now. It's very positive.
Yeah, absolutely, and it was forthright, and again, it's hard, like you say. The critique of him has been his consistency, but on the other hand, it's like he doesn't get the consistent minutes. One night he's playing 30 minutes, one night it's like 23, and his role is undefined. And this leads to this next attribution. I have 3 clips from Kerr I wanted to play tonight total. This one has less to do with Kaminga and more to do with rotations as a whole, which might play into the whole, this is the lack of consistency, right? And this has been across the team. And Steve Kerr, in yesterday's pregame press conference, the head coaches do this every game. I'm sure there's exceptions. You can't make literally everything. Rick Carlisle, we learned last night, was stuck in traffic, Rick, and missed his pregame press conference because of traffic. It's in San Francisco. So here is Steve Kerr, and we only have the audio of this, but this is Steve Kerr in the pregame, asked about the inconsistency with the minutes and the rotation. And here's Steve Kerr's response to that question.
This probably would have been about 10 days ago or so. You guys really kind of elevated Jonathan.
Can't hear it.
Publicly. And
I'm gonna. The audio is very low. I don't have control over this, so I apologize. So, folks, if you can turn up the volume. Yeah, I'm maxed out here. Let's try this again, but turn your volume up, please, folks, if you want to hear this. Let's start again.
Okay.
You guys really kind of elevated Jonathan publicly, and now he's kind of minimized again. How do you feel like that is impacting him? Just kind of the way his rotation and role just continues to fluctuate?
How many starting lineups have we had? 15, 16? It impacts everybody. So there's no, I don't single anybody out. I don't try to manipulate the lineups to help one person over another. I'm trying to manipulate the lineups to win games. So, we put JK in the starting lineup a couple of weeks ago to see if we could right the ship, and tried to bring Draymond off the bench, and I didn't love that, but I also don't love, as you know, Draymond starting at the 5 because I think it's a lot. So look, when you're losing, you try a lot of different things. So I think we tried that for maybe 5-6 games. I think after the Dallas game, I realized if we're going to be a defensive-minded team, which that's our identity, I believe, then Draymond Green should be in the starting lineup. So when you're losing, you try a lot of different things. You try to find continuity, and I know it's not easy for the players having all these different lineups, but once we start winning, we'll get back to consistency in our lineups for sure.
Some confidence there, Rick. Once they start winning again, look at that, Rick. 15 to 16 starting lineups. You complained. I don't complain is the wrong word. You critiqued this decision early in the season. You criticized the 13-man rotation more specifically. But your thoughts, sir, because I feel like Kerr's arguing with himself here. You have control over this. Your thoughts? That drives me a little crazy, sir.
Well, it's tough when you're losing. I mean, like, he's doing what you have to do. You're trying to find the magic formula that's going to get you back to playing the type of basketball you're capable of doing. But I think he's made a decision that their identity wants to be that they're going to be one of the best defensive teams in the league, which is a good thing because that can be much more consistent. And then it's a matter of finding that combination and those players who can reach that goal of being a top defensive team, but yet still having the offensive ability to win the game, because you still have to outscore the freaking opponent.
Right.
And so that's what's been the most difficult thing, because it gets back to the inconsistency of the players themselves to play offensively at a high level. And even now it's more difficult because Steph isn't doing it. I mean, my God. I mean, when your best player, is struggling like he's been struggling, woo! I mean, what do you do there? I mean, so the fact that they can win any game at all when that's happening is remarkable. So it's a tough time right now, and that's what a coach is getting paid for. I mean, to try to figure things like this out. And like you said, it's not easy as a player, but to hear or read what you did with the comment that came from Jonathan, I think his head's in right. Everybody has to be there. The thing about that comment that's, I think, most important was the fact that he said, my teammates are there encouraging me all the time.
Yes.
See, that's a critical element, because you can't have the team splintering. The team has to stay together. They have to be encouraging one another. And it seems that they're doing that. That's why what they're going through at this stage of the season, I don't think is something to panic about. Okay?
Agreed.
And obviously, Steve feels confident enough with the team that he has and the personnel that he has that he's going to find that magic formula. When we get back to winning again, you have to be positive. You just have to be positive. And
absolutely,
hopefully they'll still stay healthy, and they'll come up with the combination that works, where they have a tough defensive team that is going to play more consistently offensively.
Rick, and this is just me opining here, and I'd love to get your reaction to this. And I just love how comfortable we are, because you'll tell me straight up if I'm being an idiot, and I love that. The first 2 games of the season, the Golden State Warriors, and again, the vibes in the preseason carrying over to these first 2 games were very positive. The team went to Hawaii. You were hearing and seeing all the right things. And then the season starts, and the Golden State Warriors, and granted, Portland, Utah, they're bad teams, but you blow out bad teams. That's what you're supposed to do. The Warriors blew the Trailblazers out in that first game, 140-104. They blow out Utah in the second game, both on the road, 127-86. That third game was the first home game, and Rick, I'm sure you remember this. I feel like everyone will. They lost to the Clippers, and they've lost to the Clippers twice this season, and it felt inexplicable. The Warriors looked like the better team, but they lost 112-104. The reason why I bring these three games up is because the starting lineup I saw in those first three games, to me, was perfect. And I don't understand. This is where the tinkering and the mad scientist stuff drives me a little nuts, because the starting lineup for those first three games was Steph at the point, Wiggins at the 2 guard, Kaminga at the 3, Draymond at the 4, Trace Jackson-Davis as your starting center. And they were fine. I know they lost that Clippers game 112-104, but after 3 games, 2 of which they blew the opposition out, Kerr abandoned that starting lineup. We've never seen it again. And that lineup brought you size. Wiggins has been fine as a 3-point shooter, so he was replicating Klay's numbers as the 2. Kaminga seemed more comfortable at the 3. My point is, I thought they had it there. And we've never seen that lineup again, even though I thought it was successful despite the Clippers' loss. What are your thoughts on that, sir? Am I being nuts here? What do you think?
No, I think it's a very valid comment that you're making there. I mean, I didn't realize that starting lineup has not happened again if they've had so many disciplines.
I'm surprising everybody's saying that. I know, it's weird. Everybody I mentioned that to is like, they did that? It is, because I've been saying Wiggins just started the 2 for years now, because that was his position in Minnesota. And I don't know if Terry Stotts added some influence there to have Wiggins go back to his natural position, but it was 3 games. I loved it. Even though they lost that Clippers game, I saw a team that could do something. And then we just started seeing the tinkering after that.
I'm surprised that hasn't been brought to Steve's attention again. If you've made all these various changes and you won 2 out of 3 games, especially 2 big games and winning them convincingly on the road, yeah, obviously against teams that aren't one of the better teams, but you blow them out, which is great. And then to have a close game at home against one of the better teams in the league, why would you not try that again?
I wish they did. And Bruce Morrow in the chat saying, well, the reason why they left that is because the bench was the score. Well, so what? Great. The bench was lighting it up. They look like
that's what it takes. That's why the Warriors won championships, because the bench came through for them.
Exactly.
Is that you're not going to play 48 minutes with the same guys, and that's what the bench has to do. The bench has to come in and they have to do a job for them. And that was one of the great things when the first one that they won, because you had 2 guys who were all-star players that were willing to come off the bench, Iguodala and Lee. So that's part of what being a team is all about. So that's something that they had to find out. Yeah, the bench didn't come through in that one game, but so what? That's one game. I mean, you can't make an overall judgment about something and make a definitive decision that this is what the situation is. It's too small. It's too small of a factor. I mean, 3 games, 1 game where they didn't do it. Let's try it longer.
Yeah.
Try it a little bit longer and see what happens.
The fact that the Warriors currently, their record is 15-13. That's 28 games. Steve Kerr just said in that attribution he's had 15 or 16 different starting lineups. Rick, have you ever seen anything like that? Is that normal? I mean, you've seen.
It's not normal. I mean, especially bringing up the point that you brought up, that one of the starting lineups that you had won 2 big games and blowouts on the road and had a close game at home, and to only have them together 3 times to try and see how it could work, because then that gives an opportunity for those guys to get more comfortable with themselves, but then also for the bench to get an opportunity to know what they are capable, what they can do, and see how capable they are in performing well. And then you can make some adjustments as to who you bring in from the bench to give some of these other guys. Like one of the guys that's got lost that I thought was going to be, really good for him, and I was really impressed with some of the stuff I saw last year, was Moody.
Agreed. And he's been missed. I'm glad we saw him last night for the first time in a while. That left knee soreness.
Yeah, I understand. But the thing is, he wasn't getting much opportunity to do stuff as well. So, I mean, this is a guy that is, one of the guys that we're looking to the future for, in that draft class that they had years ago. So he's got some, if he's going to do the tinkering and stuff, I would highly recommend that, somebody should say something to him, say, Coach, I mean, what about that? This is what happened in the first 3 games of the season. We have not started those guys again since that time. So maybe it's time to give them a shot again.
Absolutely. And Unpopular Truth in the chat, and he's saying this in a joking, complimentary manner, saying, Rick Barry, you need to stop trying to confuse the audience with the truth, sir. Too much truth, too much honesty. I love it. I absolutely love it.
Basketball is not comedy. This is not football, where you've got 11 guys on the field trying to figure out what everybody's trying to do. I mean, it's 5 guys, and it's hard to get continuity and to be a good team that executes exceptionally well when you don't play together for extended periods of time.
Absolutely, you're right. You're 100% right. And Rick, you've had a show. Oh man, I next I'm gonna have the soundbite queued up because I should have had Jack Nicholson dropped right there saying you can't handle the truth. I did not have that there. That's my failing.
So,
I
no
apologize.
Okay, but the thing is, I'm going to have to run. This is Christmas Eve. I got to get ready to go over to my in-laws because they celebrate on Christmas Eve. And so
Yes, sir.
I wish everybody all the best. But I appreciate you. Before
No, I know. The fact
you can go on and finish up, and just I would hope that some of the people out there would help. My son, I thought.
No, yes,
did
well,
really
yeah,
well.
Rick, go ahead.
He's up for the 3x3 USA Basketball Possible Player of the Year. He did a great job for him, especially Jimmer Fredette went on. They were the two top players, and then he had two incredible games. And so if you get a chance, you could vote every day up until like January the 5th. But yeah, it would be nice. It would be a nice way for him. That would be because this is the end of his career. It'd be a nice way to put the old icing or the candle or the cherry on top of the cake of his basketball career, ending with getting an award like this. So if anybody is willing to do that, thank you for that. Meanwhile, all the best, good health. Enjoy the holidays, and I look forward to talking to you again, Cyrus.
Absolutely. And before you go again, the website is usab.com. I just put the graphic down there. Sorry for the tackiness of how it looks, but go to usab.com. And if you go there, just click right here on the 2024 annual awards. You just got to scroll down a little bit. And if you go to the right, they have the 3-on-3 Male Athlete of the Year nominees. Go down there and put your vote in for Canyon Barry. He deserves it. He played awesome basketball for Team USA, representing our country in the Olympics. And Rick, Merry Christmas, sir. Have fun with your family. I can't thank you enough for taking the amount of time you did to join me today. Thank you, sir.
My pleasure. Thank you. God bless everybody. Bye-bye.
And that's the Hall of Famer, Rick Barry, one of the greatest to ever do it, joining us for that extended period there, providing his thoughts, his expertise in terms of basketball. If there's anyone who's an expert covering the NBA, I would say Rick Barry would be it. I want to play one more soundbite before we call this show a wrap. I know we got some monetary donations that came in as well that I want to address. Jake Kaminga, you did not donate anything, but I did highlight your comment because I was going to play to Rick, but we ran out of time. Jake Kaminga wanted to ask Rick about Curry's rotation minutes, which I think is a very astute point to bring up for the simple reason that Stephen Curry once upon a time used to run a very simple rotation. First quarter, third quarter, play the whole damn thing. Second quarter, play the final 6 minutes. Fourth quarter, play the final 6 minutes. I understand he can't play 36 minutes a night anymore. At least you don't want him to. But still, that was simple. And again, professional athletes, and this is where I don't understand why Steve Kerr doesn't have a grasp on this, given he himself was once a professional athlete. They're creatures of routine. They love simplicity. They love to know what to expect. Most of them don't like surprises. They want routine. So when you're tinkering and doing your mad scientist routine on Stephen Curry's minutes, I don't know how that's helping him. But Jake Kaminga, I see what you're seeing as well, which is that Stephen Curry, it's a herky-jerky style rotation where we see him for 5 minutes, he sits for 2 minutes because somebody told Steve Kerr and convinced him that's going to give him more energy down the stretch. Is it working? No. Now, is that the reason? We don't know. But regardless, the results are not showing that the tinkering has been working. So, Jake Kaminga, I wanted to highlight your chat because you make a very good point. Sal Paradise, I also didn't get a chance to get to yours. Sal wrote, why does it seem like the Warriors can't develop young players? I think the head coach could answer that question for you right there. Danny Golding TV, you dropped $5 at the beginning of the show. One more highlight for that, saying Merry Christmas, right back at you. We will be live tomorrow on Christmas Day. I'm doing the family commitments today, right after this show. Mom, sis, brother-in-law, everyone there, Merry Christmas. I'll see you soon. But Merry Christmas to everyone as well. Danny Golding TV, more specifically. Thank you for that. And again, Manny dropped $1.99 to say that Stephen Curry doesn't have consistent scorers around him. I think we've covered that plenty. Rick Barry endorsing a move for a center or a big, just someone to help this team out. ZZZZ, oh, you brought up the report by, it wasn't Shams, it was Alms, who has replaced Kendra Andrews apparently as ESPN's rep covering the Warriors, or maybe him and Kendra are going back and forth, and I don't know what's going on there, but Alms, good job with the reporting there. Alan Day dropping $1.99, saying that the Warriors need to move off the expiring deals of Gary Payton II and Kevon Looney. Wholeheartedly agree. Those are the biggest assets for the Warriors to acquire something without basically giving up a damn thing. Worst comes to worst, you could just bring those two players back next year. So I'm totally with you on that. GP2, interestingly enough, did not play last night. He, I believe, had a calf issue. Warriors did not win, but I don't think they missed him either. Although I did come to a bit of a revelation last night, and ideas just hit me, and I have no control over that, but hopefully it results in good, thought-provoking topics for the program. And this is nothing new per se in terms of GP2, but I'm starting to piece together the reason why he's playing, and I don't think it has to do with his elite defense, which is not so elite anymore. It clearly, he's not out there for offensive purposes, but Steve Kerr is so focused on what's best for Stephen Curry, right? What I'm seeing here more and more in terms of trying to make sense of the decision-making behind Steve Kerr is that the logic behind it is not what's best for the Warriors. The logic behind it is what's best for Steph. And I can get that. Now, what I don't get is that it's got to be an either or. You can make decisions that help both. And the reason why I say all that is because GP2, when he's out there, at least on the offensive side, but even defensively as well, his entire mission is trying to help Stephen Curry, setting screens, both on ball and off primarily. That's what he's been doing out there. The problem is with that strategy and why it's not working is because GP2 is such a sieve offensively. He's just got holes everywhere. He's a strainer. Like he's got virtually no offensive game. So when Steph's on offense, those screens are not doing much because the opposing defenders are just switching. They're not biting on the screens. So I get the intent, coach, but the reality of it is it ain't working. And it's almost like counterintuitive to try and do that. But so I get the logic to a certain extent, but the putting that logic into practice, not applicable. It's just not working. And those two contracts, yes, I wholeheartedly agree, do result in a possible trade where you can get someone back and you're not giving anything up in terms of the future. And Ion dropping $2 saying Jonathan Kuminga was referring to his upbringing in the Congo. Yeah, I'm aware that quote did not include the whole quote and that there was some references. There was some verbiage before that. But we still got the gist of it, man. And if you're writing that in defense of Kaminga, because some people in the chat were calling him soft for those comments, fair enough. There you go. So I'm highlighting your words to add some context to that quote. I want to add, and Nick Fensky, Merry Christmas to you too, brother. Great to see you in the chat. Davey LaRouche, who was having a high school reunion in our chat last night. Golden Days are saying that GP2 tucks Steph into bed every night. Absolutely. That is a nice way of putting it. I want to play one more soundbite because you have not listened to everything pertaining to yesterday's pregame press conference. And we'll start wrapping up the show with this. Ryan Leong, who was on the show last night, and I'm going to make that a regular thing because I like the format where he joins us about 20 minutes or so into the postgame show to give us his feedback, his reaction live from Chase Center. He's literally in the tunnels with the players, with the coaches. He's literally asking questions, and then he jumps on with us. It's phenomenal. I think I'm gonna do that on a regular basis. I like the format. And Ryan Leong last night brought up the fact that that Steve Kerr was being peppered with questions regarding Jonathan Kuminga in the pregame press conference. And I went through that, and he was not lying. I played one of those sound bites that had more to do with the rotations, and that tied into Kaminga, obviously. But you can hear in this follow-up question regarding Kaminga, this is about 6.5 minutes into the pregame press conference. And Steve Kerr gives just a one-word answer, which perfectly summarized just how over it he is with this topic. But, Coach, as Rick Barry mentioned, you're getting paid the big bucks, and boy, are you. You're literally the highest paid head coach in the NBA. So considering how much money you make, this is not that difficult for you, sir. You can handle this, I promise. And here's Steve Kerr with discussing Jonathan Kuminga quite a bit more during the pregame press conference. This was yesterday before the Warriors played the Pacers. Again, one more time, head coaches do these before every game. Usually you're talking about injuries. You're talking about who's starting. It's very casual conversation. Unless it gets to this. And you got to turn the volume up again, folks, because The sound does not capture the reporter's question well, although you can hear Kerr fairly well. Anyways, let's hear from head coach Steve Kerr. This was before yesterday's Warriors-Pacers game.
Steve, going back to Jonathan, he and his representatives at times haven't shied away from expressing frustration when there's been, the perception that maybe you're coming down on him or he's not maybe getting a fair shake. Is that something that concerns you moving forward off of Saturday?
Nope.
On Draymond status.
Don't know. Gary's out. Moses is in. Gary's gonna warm up, or Draymond's gonna warm up.
Real fast, in case you missed that, he just said no. It was just a no. And I'm going to keep playing this because there is another Kaminga question coming. So just stay patient. It'll get good again, I promise. Here we go. Here's more Steve Kerr.
On Kaminga, you mentioned the mid-range, the low points.
The what?
The low PPP on his mid-range. What are you okay with? Like when can he take the mid-range? Like what shot diet would you prefer from him?
Well, obviously he's great. He's elite at the rim. He's elite getting fouled. So we want him attacking the rim. We want him following the help and playing out of the dunker and getting behind the play more often. And then, as I said, there's a time and place for every shot. And so if it's the middle of the shot clock, it's not a great shot. If it's, end of the shot clock and we've been trying to get a better shot and nothing's there, he's one of the few guys who's capable of creating, an open look for himself. So it's really, it's a simple message, but it's not always a message that for any player that is, easily seen or. So we talk about it every day, drive and kick, penetrate with the idea of moving the ball on. We've spent the last 3 days of practice with the whole team working on that concept, drive and kick, drive and kick, drive and kick. So it's different for every player in terms of what they see, what they recognize. But, we're working with our guys. We're working with JK. I think he's got so much potential, and he's shown a lot since he's been here. He's gotten a lot better, but I'm not going to, stop coaching him. I got to keep coaching him. The last 2 games, his field goal attempts, his decision making has been poor, and that needs to improve.
Steve, I know.
All right, and that's where we stop there. So the real part, the part of it that was most noteworthy was just the no. Steve, Jonathan Kuminga's representatives have expressed disappointment and consternation in regards to his playing time, his inconsistency. Does that bother you? No. Nope. There we go. Merry Christmas Eve. That's the show. Shane West in the chat saying, is this the when Steve Kerr's gut has gone wrong episode? No, that's not going to be a live one. I'm going to record that. Again, I got all the research. Every time I feel like I'm going to do it, just something interrupts in life, and then the Warriors win a game. Like the Steve Kerr stock has to be like bottom low before that episode drops. It's almost there. But it's not quite there yet. We're damn close. No, this was not the Steve Kerr's when Steve Kerr's gut has gone wrong episode. That's coming soon, I promise. And it's going to be a lengthy list because every time I notice something new or remember something from the past, I just jot it down. Except I'm not literally writing it. I'm typing it in my phone on my notes. But that will come soon. Merry Christmas again one more time. Thank you so much again to the Hall of Famer, one of the greatest to ever do it, Rick Barry, for joining us. We're hopefully going to have that be a sponsored weekly segment soon. Stay tuned for that. We'll be back at this tomorrow. Warriors, Lakers. Does it carry the same cachet, the same gravitas that it did maybe a few weeks ago? No. Is it still going to be damn interesting? You bet your ass. And we're going to be right here for the post-game show, so stay tuned for that. Otherwise, one more time, whatever you do for today and tomorrow, hope it's fun, hope it's safe, hope it's happy. If you have a support group around you, whether you call that family, friends, whatever it is, if it's there and it makes you happy, do it. If you don't have it, join a program. We're finishing up today. Come back tomorrow. It's Christmas Day. Just spend Christmas with me. I'm here for you. But do whatever it takes to make you happy. And if you're lonely out there, go rescue a dog. Shelters are packed. and they make phenomenal companions. My little guy is my best bud. He's my boy. I love him. And they're incredibly therapeutic on top of everything else. So regardless, happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you're celebrating, Festivus. We celebrated that yesterday. Yes, this is the support group right here. But unfortunately, we're wrapping up for today. But thank you, everyone, as always, for everything, for the support, even for you haters out there. You make things interesting and fun. Thank you all. Until the next show, Merry Christmas Eve, and then we'll see you on Christmas Day, Warriors and Lakers. Until then, thank you again to Rick Barry. Thanks to everyone. Bye-bye. Merry Christmas, everyone. Bye-bye.